Hey, I'm Andrew Downs from the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and the last video Zach and I shot, we asked for some questions about why the AT is managed the way it is and anything about the ATC. We got a lot of questions, but I thought I would answer two in one shot this time because they're pretty interesting and I think they're linked. So the first question was, what was the AT experience? You know, I think in the podcast I talked a lot about how we manage for the AT experience, but didn't talk a lot about what that is. And the second question we got, which was really interesting, was will the AT ever be regulated with a permit system like the PCT is? Those two questions are kind of linked, and so I thought I'd tackle them both. The answers to both questions are really contained in a document we like to call the Comprehensive Plan for AT Management. It has a lot of really great information about why the AT is managed the way it is, and it's also a really beautiful document. It's where we continuously go as AT managers to look towards the sort of philosophical purpose of the AT and the reasons for which it was preserved as a national park unit. So I'm here at one of my favorite places, the Keffer Oak, which is right there, that big old boy. And I think there are two passages in the comprehensive plan I'd like to share with you. And then we'll take a little hike and talk a little bit more. The first one is from the foreword. It says, "In practice, the trail is usually a simple footpath, purposeful in direction and concept, favoring the heights of land and located for the minimum reliance on construction for protecting the resource." Simple footpath on the height of land. That's a key part of the AT experience, you know, what the trail actually looks like. And another part later in the document, for a resource as fragile as the trail, much of it lying as it does on steep slopes, ridge tops, and in unusual natural areas, the threat to its preservation as a stable and attractive physical resource is very real. In addition, the trail's reputation for providing a primitive and solitary communion with nature may be easily lost if overwhelmed by a substantial increase in visitor use. So we got kind of two things that are defining the AT experience or contributing to it. One is the physical trail, what the actual trail looks like, and two is the visitor's ability to commune with nature, sojourn, and reflect. So we'll talk about the physical trail first. But before I do that, I do want to mention two other documents. The AT Comprehensive Plan is probably the cornerstone, but there's also Benton MacKay's original article in 1921 and a 1995 policy on the primitive experience issued by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Both of those are available on the website along with the comp plan, and I'll try to put links down there somewhere. So we'll go look at the physical resource real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of those visitor use issues. So I'm back, and right now I'm on a relocation of the Appalachian Trail that probably won't open until sometime in 2019 or 2020. And so when we talk about the physical trail, we want to talk about why we put it where it is and why we choose to relocate it. Here, the trail was going up a really steep slope. It was really eroding, and it wasn't a very fun or pretty experience. And so if you remember, we want a simple footpath that wears lightly on the land. And so we chose to opt for a relocation that wouldn't erode as much and would offer a better hiking experience. Now to do that, we needed to acquire a piece of land, which we did in the late 90s. So we were able to bring in the Connerock Trail crew to support the Roanoke Appalachian Trail Club, and they've been working on this relocation for some time. And it's gorgeous. There's a bunch of rock steps. It's a nice, evenly graded side hill experience, and you climb to the top of Sinking Creek Mountain in a much more pleasurable way and a much simpler way. Now, you may ask, well, if there's a bunch of rock steps, that doesn't really sound too simple. And you'd be right. What we've done here is we've sacrificed the simplicity for the trail's ability to wear lightly on the land. And that really is a trade-off. So I'll show you some of the pictures of some of the great rock work that Connerock has done and the Roanoke Appalachian Trail Club has done out here at the end. But while we're talking about trade-offs, I also want to talk about that question on permitting, and will the AT ever see a permit system like the PCT? Now, the answer to that is essentially if we ever feel that the opportunity for a visitor to commune with nature and to have a solitude experience and to sojourn among the mountains is severely threatened by either the amount of use or, more likely, the type of use, and the type of use being inconsiderate hikers, uneducated hikers, or hikers that really impact other people's experience just by their own behavior. Then it's likely that we'll consider some sort of permit system, and some folks would say that that's long overdue. But one of the trade-offs there is that we also want to keep the AT as unregimented as possible. We feel that your ability to simplify your life out here and commune with nature is directly correlated to the amount of rules and regulations that you have to follow or think about or be reminded of on signs and that sort of thing. So we want to keep the management style as simple as possible, while also protecting that sojourn experience and that experience where a person can commune with nature. And so one thing we can do as hikers, I think, is to keep in the back of our mind all the time that our experience has a potential to positively or negatively affect other people's experience. Like today, I hiked for a while. I saw 2 southbounders and 1 volunteer, and I've been out for a while. And so I was really able to have, even on a day hike, a real nice, quiet experience where I'm just surrounded by the beauty here of Central Virginia's Appalachian Mountains. If there was a bunch of people who had left a bunch of trash or were just acting like hooligans out here, that my opportunity to do that would have been really threatened. And so we take that very seriously, that trade-off between a regimentation and the protection of your ability to commune with nature and kind of reflect and really take a break from the sort of urbanized and mechanized world. And that goes back to Bit Mackay's original article. He called the Appalachian Trail a barbarian utopia, which is kind of cool. But he also said it was a barrier against the urbanization of our society. And we want those rules and regulations and mechanical controls that dictate our lifestyle, our choices while we're at work or at home. We want to leave those in the back of our mind or kind of at the door, so to speak, when we get out on the trail. I say that while I'm talking into an iPhone. I realize the irony there. So I hope that answered both your questions a little bit. There are some documents, like I said, that are linked below that'll provide more experience or more information rather. And I just want to say that I encourage you guys to get out and enjoy that AT experience. That's the best thing you can do as trail lovers. I hope this is one more reason to join the ATC, the fact that we're thinking about these things and taking them seriously. And if you've got the time, I'd love for you to come out and join Conarock. It's a week-long experience. We pay for all the tools, the food, the equipment. We get you out there and introduce you to a whole new trail family, one that you'll never forget. So thanks a lot for watching, and if you got more questions, send them to us. We'll see you later. So here's some of that work that Conarock has done, just so you know. It's beautiful, beautiful steps, nice cadence to them. And these steps weren't just square. The rocks weren't just shaped like this. A volunteer cut these in the backcountry and then strung them up on a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch steel cable and flew them in to the position you see them now. So there's probably 50, 60 steps just in this one step case, and there are a couple more further down the relo. Anyway, Thru-Hikers 2019-2020, you might just be out here.